there are a good deal of addition problems that look a little bit funny to us. Kind of like, for example, I've got number 3 here, -8 plus a -9. We're going to talk about that. And if it doesn't occur to you just to say, hey, look, I've got a -8 here, and I'm going to be adding a -9 to it. In other words, I'm taking 9 away from it. I've got a little tool you can use to help you remember it. This is rules for adding and subtracting all types of numbers. So what we're dealing with this first week of school is we're dealing with integers, which is basically any whole number, positive or negative. Whole numbers are just positive numbers, but integers also include negative numbers. There are no decimals, no fractions, or anything like that for integers. But these rules do also apply to decimals and fractions and even mixed numbers like 2 1/3 or whatever. So they apply to all those. Now, for right now, like I say, we're only going to be dealing with integers, and later on we're going to move on to fractions. And what you can do is if you don't understand these, and some of them you will, like 8 plus 7, well, we all know that that's 15. We can look at that and tell. But some of these are a little bit confusing to us. So what we can do is sing a song, and that'll help us figure out the answer. Now, even though you understand what 8 plus 7 is, you can still apply the song to it and it still works. So let's just look at that song now. Same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. Take the sign of the furthest number, then you'll be exact. And what that means is, or the largest number, what that means is the number with the highest absolute value. In other words, the number that is farthest from 0. Alright, so if you've got -10 and 4, the one that's farthest from 0 on a number line, you've got 0 here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. The one furthest from 0 is going to be -10, so that's how we know that. Okay, well, let's take a look at a few of these, and I won't apply it here. We know that's 15. And what we have to do is use our common sense. When we see problems like 8 plus 7 or 78 plus 91 or whatever, we know what the answer is going to be. We know we don't have to apply the song to it. Same here, 13 plus 16 equals 29. Okay, but then we get to this funny one here. Okay, you're like, well, I've never seen anything like that, Mr. Kemp. I don't understand. Even though when I did see it, I didn't understand it, and I'm hopeless on these. Well, let's go ahead and apply our song. Same signs add and keep. What that means is, if these two have the same sign, that means we're just going to add the 8 and the 9 together. So 8 plus 9 equals 17. It says same signs add and keep, so we're just going to take the absolute value or just the number itself and add them together. Now, if they were different signs, we would subtract, and I'll do one of those in a second. But same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. We're going to take the sign of the furthest number. Well, in this case, they're both negative, so we're going to have a negative number. But let's just take a look at the ones that are look at the ones that's furthest from 0, which is 9, or -9. That's a negative number, so we're going to put a negative sign on that. The answer is -17. You can use this with all of these, every single one of them. You can even use it here. So let's just take a look. Same signs add and keep. Well, these are the same. This is a positive, this is a positive. I'm going to add that up to be 15. Take the sign of the furthest number. Well, they're both positive, so they're by default it's going to be a positive, and that rule still applies there. Now, I've got a -12 plus a 9. Now, we really should at this point in our math career understand what that means. That means, for example, it's -12 degrees outside. We're in Green Bay, Wisconsin watching the Packers play, and the temperature gets 9 degrees hotter, which means we are at -3. But if you don't understand that, if that doesn't make sense to you, again, we can apply a song. Same signs add and keep. Well, these signs aren't the same because you got a -12 and a +9. We do have, however, different signs, so we're going to subtract. We're going to say, hey, what is 12 minus 9? Well, that's 3. Take the sign of the furthest number. Which one of these numbers here is furthest from 0? -12. Take the sign of the furthest number. then you'll be exact. The answer is -3. And we can keep doing the same thing here. Same signs, add and keep. Nope, these are different signs, so we're going to subtract. 6 minus 5 equals 1. Take the sign of the furthest number. 6 is further from 0 than -5, so the answer is +1. Same signs, add and keep. Nope, we have different signs, so we're going to subtract. 17 minus 14 equals 3. Take the sign of the furthest number. This is further from 0 than 14, so we're going to say, hey, -3. Or we could just say, hey, look, 14 plus a -17 is the same thing as saying 14 minus 17. So there you could think, hey, well, I've got a temperature outside of 14 degrees, and all of a sudden it drops by 17 degrees. Or, hey, maybe I'm 14 feet above the surface of the water, and I dive into the pool, and I drop a total of 17 feet. That means I'm going to be below the surface of the water by 3 feet now. Now, that song only applies if you are adding. You got to know that. It does not work for subtraction. Subtraction, we got to make an extra step. And when we do that, when you have subtraction problems that confuse you, just make an addition problem out of them using something called keep, change, and change. Once it's an addition problem, you can sing a song and figure out the answer. Now, again, you have to use your common sense with some of these. For example, we've known what 8 minus 6 is since the 2nd grade. That's 2, right? But if you completely lose it, you're like, oh gosh, that's very confusing, you can turn this into an addition problem, apply this song that we just taught you, and I'll sing it for you in class. Apply that song that we just taught you, and you'll have the answer every time. Well, what do I mean by keep, change, change? That doesn't make any sense. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at, and I'm going to go ahead and skip this one here too, because we can do the math on that, and that's going to be 52. But, I got a small number, and I'm going to subtract a big number. Gosh, I forgot how to do that. If it doesn't register to you that, hey, the temperature is 24 degrees and we've dropped 52 degrees, if that doesn't make sense to you, let's go ahead and do what we've learned here. Let's do something called keep, change, and change. What that means is we're going to keep this number the same, we're going to change this to a positive, and we're going to change this to a negative. Now we've got 24 plus a -52. We again have used keep, change, change to turn this into an addition problem. Well, Mr. Kemp, that still doesn't make any sense to me. I've got a 24 plus a -52. I don't know how to do that. Well, we're adding, so we can go back up here and say, oh, how about our song? Same signs, add and keep, different signs, subtract. Same signs, add and keep. Well, these aren't the same signs, they're different signs. So we're going to subtract. We're going to say 52 minus 24. And I always take the big number and subtract the small one. Let's see. We're going to carry there, make that a 12, make this an 8. That turns into a 4. And I got 28. So the answer is 28. Take the sign of the furthest number. Which one's furthest from 0 here? 24 or -52? It's going to be -52. The answer is -28. And that makes sense, because if you think about it, if I had a temperature of 24 and it dropped by 52 degrees, my temperature is going to be less than 0 now. All right, think about anything that helps you make sense, or helps you make sense of the problem. Temperature, sea level. A lot of you guys go out to the lake on the weekend. You could imagine yourself up on top of a boat and diving down, and one minute you're 15 feet above the surface of the lake, the next minute you're 10 feet below it. All those things can help. Well, we got another small number minus a big number. All right, well, we're going to keep, change, and flip. Same signs, add and keep. No, not right now. We have different signs, so we're going to subtract. We're going to say 14 minus 6 equals 8. Take the sign of the furthest number. And remember, we're not going back to this one. We're looking at the addition problem. This one's furthest from 0. We're going to say negative 8. Okay. Let's take a look at number 5 and do number 6, and we're going to move on. Now I've got a negative number and I'm subtracting a number. So again, if you can imagine for a second that you're swimming at 4 feet below the surface of the lake, and then all of a sudden you dive down another 9 feet. What is your new sea level? Are you above sea level? Are you below sea level? Well, let's try to figure it out. I got negative 4 minus 9. I don't like the way that is. I can't quite figure out that it's negative 13, so I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to change that to an addition, and I'm going to change this to a negative number. And by the way, negative 4 minus 9 is the same as negative 4 plus a negative 9. They're both the same thing. And the new trend in math is they want you to basically do everything addition. Now, same signs, add and keep. Well, I do have the same signs here. This is negative 4, this is negative 9. So I'm going to add, that's 13. Take the sign of the furthest number. This one is furthest from 0. It's a negative 13. Now, there is a shortcut to this one right here. This, 2 negatives will equal a positive, so you can just draw the line straight across here. That's a negative 5 plus a 3, which is negative 2. If you go through the process. I'm going to do this one more. I'll do it the old, I can do it just the way where I, make the 2 negatives into a positive, or I can just do keep, change, change. And right here we don't really have to apply a song because all I have is 6 plus 9, which is 15. But if I wanted to apply this song here, I could. The answer's still going to be the same. Well, now that we know how to do these, if we just have a problem, like so, and you'll have a lot of these on the quiz, we also have to learn how to do word problems. Okay? And this is the whole reason why we teach you math, so you can be successful in life with your checking account and all sorts of other things. So let's do a few word problems, and these are exactly like the ones you're going to have on your quiz. For the advanced classes, you won't have multiple choice. For other classes, you will have a few multiple choice, and some of them will be constructive response where you're going to have to come up with an answer yourself. The temperature, and what you need to do when you're looking at all word problems is you need to look for key words. Less than, the temperature dropped, the temperature raised, I climbed up the mountain, and so on and so forth. You need to look for those key words. The temperature one morning in Canton was negative 16 degrees. By the afternoon, the temperature had risen. Well, what do you think risen indicates? It's not subtraction, it's addition. It's risen by 18 degrees. So the question is asking, and you have to make sure you pay really close attention to the question, what was the temperature in the afternoon? What was the temperature in the afternoon after it had risen 18 degrees, in other words? Okay. It's going to be worded out, and the expression is going to be negative 16 plus 18. Okay. We have an addition problem, so we don't have to do keep, change, or anything like that. All we have to do now is just basically sing our song. Same signs, add and keep. Well, these aren't the same signs. We do have different signs, so we're going to subtract. We're going to say 18 minus 16 equals 2. I'm going to take the sign of the furthest number. The number that's farthest from 0 is 18. The answer is 2. Now, the answer isn't just 2, though. What was the temperature in the afternoon? We need to say 2 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can write out 2 degrees would be fine also. Okay. Again, you got to look for those key words. Jason is on his mother's houseboat. He is 12 feet above the surface of the water. A lot of these word problems, I like to draw a picture, and you need to do that too. So just draw yourself if you want. You've got the water here, and you can tell this is a water question. And you've got the boat here. Forgive my artwork. That's my terrible imitation of a sail. And Jason's standing right here. Okay? And he is 12 feet above the surface of the water. His brother is scuba diving 17 feet below. So his brother is 17 feet below the surface of the water. He's a negative 17 feet, in other words. It's time to eat, and Jason's mother has asked him to tell his brother to come eat. How many feet must Jason travel to tell his brother dinner's? In other words, if he's going to go from here to here, how many feet does he have to travel to get there? Okay? This is a difference problem. How many feet from here to here? Now look, we can look at this problem right here and just tell, hey, all I got to do is add 12 to 17. Okay? Or if we're looking for the difference, so we can say, hey, 12 plus 17 equals 29. Or, more accurately, if we're trying to come up with an expression for it, we would say, hey, he's at 12. I'm looking for the difference between here and here. That difference is almost always minus a negative 17. Negative 17 here. Well, we learned earlier that a negative minus and negative is the same thing as positive. Just like we had before, the answer is a positive 29 feet. Just about any time you have a difference problem, the answer is almost always going to be positive. They're looking for the difference between two numbers. That's almost always positive. Another thing is distance is almost always going to be positive, and that'll help you here. And again, draw yourself a picture on these word problems. It really, really helps. A fish at negative 220 feet swims 75 feet deeper. What do you think deeper indicates? I think it's going to be minus, deeper, lower. What is the fish's new elevation? So we were already at negative 220. Now I'm going to subtract 75. Uh-oh. These are really tough. I can't remember what to do. Well, let's do keep, change. Now we've got addition here. I can say same signs, add and keep. Because this is negative and this is negative. I'm going to add these two together. 220 plus 75 equals 295. I'm going to take the sign of the furthest number, the furthest one from 0, which is negative. Now I'm at negative 295 feet. You need to always make sure you put the unit of measure there. It might be feet, it might be meters, it might be temperature, it might be yards, it could be any number of different things. We need to make sure that we are using the appropriate measures. In the beginning, I'm going to give you a little bit of slack on that, but toward the end, I will not. You're going to have to put the units on there, otherwise I'll have to mark it wrong. Now let's talk about sports a little bit. The Falcons lost 5 yards on their first play of the game. For those of you who don't know about football, the objective of the game is to gain yards. You want to go as far as you can, basically. Again, key words, the Falcons lost 5 yards. Okay, so I'm going to say, hey, minus 5. And if you have to draw a picture, go for it. I don't care. The Falcons lost 5 yards on their first play of the game. Next, they gained yards. What do you think gain means? Is that subtraction or addition? And later on, we're going to have to figure out, well, is it addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division when we get into more complicated ones? But what we have right now is gain 17 yards. I'm going to say, hey, that means plus 17. What was the net result of both plays? And what that means is net result. What was the total? That's what that means. In other words, how much did they gain between the two plays put together? Well, I've got a negative 5 plus a 17. Okay. Same signs, add and keep, no, because these are different signs. We're going to have to subtract. 17 minus 5 is 12. Take the sign of the furthest number, that's the positive 17. They gain 12 yards. And you can say they gain 12 or however you want to. The temperature at the bottom of a mountain was 14 degrees. The temperature at the, and that should be top, of the mountain was 32 degrees colder. Write an expression to represent the temperature at the top of the mountain. Now we're writing an expression. Sometimes in math, instead of asking you for the answer, we're going to ask you for not only the answer, but how you got there, which means you're going to have to write an expression, which is something like 5 plus 4 equals, or 7 plus 8 equals, or 7 plus 8, or 9 plus 21, or whatever. So, the temperature at the bottom of a mountain was 14 degrees. Well, that's 14. The temperature at the top of the mountain was 32 degrees colder. Colder, is that going to be minus or plus? Well, if it's 10 degrees and it gets 10 degrees hotter, I'm going to be adding 10 degrees. But this says 10 degrees colder, I'm going to be subtracting 32. Well, again, this is kind of a funny one. I've got a small number minus a big number. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, oh, and by the way, this is the answer. This is the expression. 14 minus 32. Number 22 is going to ask us for the answer, and in order to do that, we want to change that to an addition problem, which is we're going to change that to addition and say minus 32 here. Forgive my handwriting. Same signs add and keep? No, because these are different signs, so we're going to subtract 32 minus 14 equals 18. Take the sign of the furthest number. Which one's furthest from 0? This one. So our answer is negative 18 for number 22. And quickly, the temperature in the morning was negative 15 degrees. By the afternoon, it had risen 9 degrees. We're going to say negative 15 plus 9. And the answer for that, once you do all the math, is going to be negative 6. Mason owes Matt $30. On payday, Mason gets paid $115. So he's in the hole, he owes Matt $30. We represent that by saying negative 30. He owes Matt $30. On payday, Mason gets paid $115, so we're going to add $115. Write an expression representing how much money Mason will have after he pays Matt back. Okay? Now you can think of this any way. You can say, hey, I'm going to make $115, but I got to pay Matt $30. So you can say, hey, you can also say 115 minus 30. And either way, your answer is going to be $85. Good luck on the quiz. We're going to have it Friday, unless plans change. If you have any questions, you need to email me by 6 o'clock every night, because that's usually about the last time I check my email. And good luck. If you have any questions or need anything, you got to come see me. You got to ask questions in class, and we'll go from there. All right.